All right, so welcome. I am going to talk a little bit about fixed stars, asteroids today. Also, my friend Angel, who is South Node in Pisces, but as I always say, the South Node is everything, or a huge part. So I have no idea when he's going to be here. It could be an hour from now, or 2 minutes from now. But anyways, so I see a lot on Instagram and I don't go on that much, to be honest. So I'm not gonna have like the best pulse of what people are talking about. But I see it with my students, right? Like, not necessarily with students, but I guess with people, I always get very, very fortunate with students. If anyone's interested, just DM me or email me at jesseanswentastrology@gmail.com for one-on-one teaching. But I see this a lot. And I always talk about the hierarchy in astrology, right? Like what's really important when you're looking at a chart, what's kind of important, what's not that important, and then how do you determine it, like if it's important. So for asteroids, like the way I think about it is that there's like, I'm a scientist, right? At the end of the day, everything that I do, hold on, turn this view. Yeah. Everything I do, I only really use it going forward if there's proof that it worked. And when it comes to asteroids, asteroids is it's a big thing to say. There's a lot of asteroids, and I don't count Chiron as an asteroid, right? So you have the four main ones, right? You have Juno, Ceres, Vesta, Pallas. Now, I've always used Juno since I started in astrology. Everyone has their own style, right? But I just resonated a lot with it. I even named a dog Juno, my family dog Juno, a long time ago. So, but it really has always worked really well for me. And I'm not saying, and I think those other four can be very, very useful, right? But at the end of the day, when you're doing a chart analysis, you have someone's attention for X amount of minutes or hours or whatever, and you can't talk about everything, right? And some things you're only going to be able to touch on. So I found myself, when it comes to most asteroids, and I know there's different astrological ways, like Uranian astrology, for example, that is very dependent on the asteroids, right? I get it, and I see it work. So this is kind of like teach their own type thing, right? But for me, I think of things quite logically in a sense, right? Even though I'm Pisces, but at least, yeah, it's interesting, right? But I think of how much light, I really, when you think about a birth chart, you try to imagine the moment of birth, right? If someone, if you're trying to really conceptualize it, it's imagine if someone was born in this exact moment, or last weekend, when the moon was in Taurus, or just you feel the energy of the day, you look into the astrology, and then you're like, okay, you have a better sense of a baby. If I were to talk about the astrology of today, even the generational stuff, right, which makes more sense in time, also, but yeah, I'd be able to show to a baby in 20 years or 18 years, and they'd be like, wow, that's me. But yeah, so I'm all about how much. So it's really when you look at the sky, how much, what is emitting the most light, right? Because that's really what's powerful, and then what angles are being made, what connections are being made. So obviously, the planets, right? Those have to be conjunct in my rules. Any asteroid beside that's not one of the big four, to me, and I have found some asteroids that have shown up a lot in clients' charts, I always call them the witch asteroids just because I saw one article about them. Circe, especially, right? Hecate and Lilith. And of course, I don't have, I have a setting in my program that I made that has probably 40, 50 fixed stars and asteroids that I use, right? But I can't put all of them in there. But I see a lot of talk about different asteroids, and in my head, I'm just like, well, who created that, right? What scientist found that? Who named it? and how much proof over the years is there of the astrological significance? Like, that's what I ask myself. Like, what is like, where is the proof, right? And then if I, like, let's say, like, my friend Haley, she she uses a lot of asteroids, so I start trying to, like, use some of the, not really, yeah, like she'll tell me about some asteroids, and I'll, try them out, and maybe it's just something I'm doing wrong, I don't know, but yeah, I think at least for the type of astrology I do, a lot of them don't really. I haven't found, like, when I ask someone, okay, like, how do you resonate with this? It's usually not, unless it's like, one of the big four. So yeah, it's kind of tough. But I also think that I have a lot of respect for all types of astrology, and I think that there's some magical way that people arrive at finding, like, whether it's using Vedic or even, like, within Western astrology, like the sidereal, the tropical zodiac, and then finding a way to say the same thing in a different way. It's like this amazing thing. But in my experience, fixed stars are a lot stronger than asteroids. And I did study a little bit of Babylonian astrology. So I really got to, that really showed me a lot about this kind of concept, this ancient astrology, where, they're just starting to kind of or translate the books. So there's one guy in Bulgaria named Rumen Kolev that I got a reading from, really smart guy, and he found some ancient texts, I believe, and he started translating them. So he's found out a lot. And there's just so many factors, right? Like visible and invisible Venus, Venus is a morning star. Like, there's so many different things, and, like being born at day or night, and how that makes, this the malefic and this the benefic, all these things, right? Like me being born during the day makes Saturn, I'm not gonna go too much on a tangent, but it makes Saturn less of a malefic, and makes Mars more of a malefic, right? And it makes, yeah. So basically, oh my God, these cats are crazy. Yeah, they really were huge with fixed stars, and they said that, fixed star, for example, like the four royal stars, Regulus, right? Antares. So Regulus is at 29 Leo. Well, it's now at 0 Virgo, but yeah, for most people born to be like at the end of Leo, or most people who are like watching this. Antares, which is around like between 9 and 10 Sag. I think it's like 9, like probably closer to 10 by now. And Fomalhaut between 3 and 4 Pisces. And then Aldebaran, which is around pretty much exactly opposite Antares, interestingly, around 9 Gemini, 9, 10 Gemini. So those are the 4 big ones. Then you have to add in Spica, which is around 24 Libra. That's a beautiful one. I could keep going, right? Like 12 Scorpio, Alphecca. I know I'm missing a lot of really good ones. I just would be going forever. I think Altair to Aquarius is a strong one. Let's think. Even like 28 Leo, Hydra, I was taught about that one. That one for astrologers and stuff is like, that's my ascendant. It's like between Hydra and Regulus, and I'm an astrologer. But yeah, so those stars, when you have like very, very tight conjunctions, only conjunctions, right? Like it has, like, think about, like, the star is so far back, but it's still emitting so much light in the night sky. If you see the night sky, like without fog or anything, you see these so many fixed stars, right? So really, you have, like, they're so far that you need to have, it's almost like the planet, like, let's say you have your sun right here, and then like I need to like get a professional diagram. Your sun's here, you're here, you're at my heart right here. The sun is here. And then let's say that, like, fixed star, I don't know, Regulus or something. Let's say your ascendant or midheaven, because those are the two most important points for fixed stars. But let's say your ascendant, it's rising right here, so it would be like, rising to the east, and then rising above the horizon is Regulus, and you're born, boom. That's how it's activated, right? But also it gets so complicated because, and I do not know the terminology, but like this is just to show you like how deep astrology. I mean, just like so when I was studying with Julian, he's Olympus Astrology on Instagram, Australia, good lad. He you know, I like to kind of like learn from different people, different things, kind of dip my feet in different pools per se. And yeah, he would tell me a lot about this. And you know, one of the main things we talked about it. Yeah, he kind of taught me about the system is that because he's learning directly underneath Rumen, is that a horrible chart. And they use terminology like that. I never use that terminology, but I understand, you know, like just it doesn't really matter, right? But it's like a difficult chart. I try to stay, you know, my brand is more growth based, you know, like more karmic, like looking at like the root causes. I guess like my type of astrology that I'm constructing slowly, it does start from, you know, the base foundation, but so it's a little bit not negative, but anyways, whatever. He would say a bad chart equal like a great stars can, you know, basically save a bad chart. And he would show examples of people like Shia LaBeouf who had, you know, very difficult chart in the Babylonian lens, right? But then he had different fixed stars that saved him, right? So like Mr. I don't know if I can say Trump's name, but I just said it. He has Regulus rising like me, but closer. And Regulus is just like the most Leo energy ever, right? Like when you meet Regulus people, they're just like, I mean, they need to learn. It takes them usually it takes them a while to learn humility, or life teaches them. I mean, it depends on the whole chart, right? But sometimes that you look at them and they just seem like more arrogant than they are. That's my life as a Pisces. I'm like, I mean, I'm better. I think it's better now, but yeah. And he has Aldebaran, which is maybe the luckiest star, as his sun, right? So he's got two fixed stars, and then he's got born on an eclipse. I'm not going to go into his whole chart. Pablo Escobar is another example. I think I found that one. Even Andrew Tate, which I predicted that double, because I'm like, how could someone grow to be so famous so fast? It has to be the stars, right? That's the power of the stars. Double Antares, sun and moon. Pablo Escobar, sun and midheaven conjunct Antares. That's the same one Tate has, and you can see that kind of how you know, kind of king of the underground. Regulus is like the king of the world, queen of the world, you know. So Antares. And I'm not an expert in these. And here's Esme. So, and Aldebaran, you know, I just get this very, very lucky, fortunate star. Spica too. I feel like Spica should be one of them, right? Like you see so many, like people with Spica rising, and just like, it's just like the best vibe of Libra. But anyways, in Fomalhaut, just that divine inspiration, divine imagination. I'm not going to go into all of them. I have like a post. I think I have a video that's from like 5 years ago on this channel called The Four Royal Stars of Persia. It's not like an edited one or anything, but I think my eyes were like super red. I wasn't sleeping at all those days. But anyways, so when you compare that power, that type of power, right, and the fate that is within fixed stars, I think Esme should probably be on camera. Yo, you boo boo shoo. Good girl. She's purring. She loves when Daddy talks about astrology. I think that, you know, when you think about fixed stars that have been literally studied for thousands. Okay, I don't know. It happened. My device just said no more space. But okay, so when you think about fixed stars that were, you know, that have been studied and that have been, you know, the influence has been shown. We have so many examples, right? Like massive, world-changing examples. And that's not even like I could go way deeper and it's hard to think about a keyword for Aldebaran, you know, because there's just so much. But yeah, like when you think of a lot of people who have this massive global role, it's not like they all have like, this little fixed star, but to make things more complicated, and this is like so hard for me to explain because I don't know the terminology, right? But basically in Julian's program, which is his, it's sold by Ruman, you have, I wish I had a diagram of it. But basically, okay, think about like a Western astrology chart, right? That you load on astro.com or SolarFire, whatever you use. I use SolarFire. At this point, they should be paying me. I'm just joking, but I have turned a lot of people onto them. But yeah, so you see like the wheel, right? The circle, and you see the diagram. And there's a straight line for ascendant, right? Descendant, and then, midheaven, icy. And that's the sky. Well, so I hope I wish I had like a visual aid. But like ascendant, descendant, right? So this is the ascendant. So in reality, in his program shows us, it's set, instead of a straight line, it's like this kind of like very like tilted line, right? Like it's like different. Like, so it's like, for example, and then the stars, like they're not just like the fixed stars are all over the place. One here, one here, one here, one here. So in his program, like he'll have like, so let's say it's my chart, right? It'll be like, ascendant Leo, and then it'll be like, instead of Regulus, like on that like somewhere along, like along that circular ecliptic line, right? It will be in its actual position. So you'll see that, like, let's say, like, for example, I have Fomalhaut on my descendant, right? But like Fomalhaut is for Pisces. So how could I have it on my descendant when my descendant is 28 Aquarius, right? Well, it's because of where Fomalhaut is. So it's like, I hate doing this. But like, okay, so ascendant 28, descendant 28, right? It's 28 Aquarius. Fomalhaut, it's like, so like my like imaginary line, and I don't know the name for this, I'm sorry. I should know, but whatever. You guys are hopefully understanding. Basically, like that really shows, I think it's like a horizon line or something, but that basically shows like, when I was born, what was truly rising or what was truly setting, right? Descendant is what's setting, and what was truly, culminating, and is it anti-culminating for IC? Yeah. So yeah. So it can be interesting like that. So there, like in terms of my stars, Algol, which is not the best. I mean, it gets a bad reputation. It's actually pretty really interesting. What I have found with it. But once again, I'm no expert with the fixed stars. This is like, I think I'm good at like giving like a general vibe of things, right? At least these types of things. So I had Algol on the midheaven, but like my midheaven's 23, it's like 22.59 or 23 Taurus. It's like different programs say different things. It's kind of annoying because of the degree theory. My assumption would be it's probably 23 because Aquarius degree. But yeah, so I think that's interesting. And having Fomalhaut on the descendant and Regulus rising. So like the point of that is not to talk about my chart. It's to say that in this system, like you might have a planet on your, a star on your MC or on your IC on your descendant that on a astro.com software like that, it doesn't show, right? It doesn't show it there. So it's kind of like hard to tell. But still, everything is imperfect. And how does this relate to asteroids? I just feel as though, like I've seen, I feel as though like there's a lot I could learn there. Right, Esme? And I have had a reading, a Uranian reading before. I feel like, at least in the sense of how you weigh the importance, in the definitions that I've been given for certain asteroids and certain points, I just intuitively, and a lot of people agree with me, get this feeling that it kind of is an easy dopamine fix, right? To just say like, oh, I have asteroid, like to not question like, is this actually real? You know? And I hate to say it, I have to be honest though, right? Like, because especially when I'm teaching people astrology, like, you know, my throat chakra is like mad at me or something. But yeah, like I've found difficulties with that, right? I found difficulties with using a lot of those points, even, you know, in any way. And especially because like a lot of them, you can sort of see, like their meaning sort of will intercept with the meaning of like a planet. Like, you know, if it's like and I know there's lots of different variations of love, but, you know, there's a lot you can do with you know, the Venus sign, Venus aspect. And sometimes you're overcomplicating things, right? Because I know everyone wants to like learn so much about themselves, right? And then you learn your natal chart, you learn, you know, but like you can just learn more and more and more about those very things. You know, you don't have to just learn, you know, you can go deeper, right? So, yeah, you can go deeper on aspects. You can go deeper on the house position. And then I think when you start reading other people's charts, you start to see like, damn, okay, like, you know, like would I really go into so much detail? Like what, like if I'm gonna give it, like my readings are usually like 2 hours, but if I try to get one in 90 minutes, which is hard for me, but even in 2 hours, like I have so much to talk about already about someone I've never met, that, you know, usually asteroids, fixed stars, I add them in at the end. And it's not that they're not important, and like I get it, you could do a whole, you know, fixed star reading, right? And you know, there's, like I said, there's astrologies that are, you know, very much based on the asteroids, but you know, in terms of what I found that a lot of times, for me at least, it clouds up the message, right? It kind of, you know, and you want to have something that's more about the huge players, that's more about what's been really proven throughout time to truly, truly, truly matter in a chart and affect someone's personality and karma and life and all that stuff, right? So all I can tell you guys is through my research, which is really, you know, my readings, my direct, you know, my direct experience and kind of correlations I make in my head and the patterns I find, is that's what you know, what I found. And then it gets to a point where it's like, okay, like I've seen this asteroid conjunct this point 10 times, and I've told all of them about it, and none of them have like really resonated with it. So then I just stopped talking about it, you know? You know, so it's like, but then even with fixed stars, I think it goes into a lot of that astronomical jargon that I need to like understand and know the right words for, right terms for. Maybe that complicates that too. And you know, you get into so many things with astrology, like, you know, declination and you know, parallels, contraparallels, and all that stuff. So it does, you know, it does get complicated, but if you keep things basic, it's assured that you're gonna, you know, give, not basic in a bad way, but if you keep things like, you know, to what is, you know is proven, you know is important, there's like a sure chance you're gonna give a good reading, that you're gonna be able to really get in there and give that person, if you're you know, giving a reading, a lot of value, and find value for yourself. Because the last thing I'll say, sometimes I've seen this with like very like, you know, astrologers with so much experience, we dig so far into like rabbit holes, right? And there's so many in astrology that we lose the essence of what's really important. And that can be a bad thing. So yeah. So in conclusion, you know, learn everything on your own, come to your own conclusions. So this, you know, video will probably be my opinion on asteroids and fixed stars, because it is an opinion at the end of the day, and opinions can change. But I like, I like to see things that I can prove through that have been used for so long by ancients. And there's this modern conception that the ancients were just some idiots that didn't know anything. Like, no, they were so much ahead of us, like way ahead of us. They were incarnating at periods where, like Silver Age, Golden Age, different times like that, where the average IQ is like way higher. Like they have these amazing abilities. The world energetically is so much on such a higher wavelength, and you can't imagine what they're able to do with so many different things, right? Like is it rishis of India, like modern astrologers were like amazed that they were able to make these advanced calculations based on the curvature of the earth or something like that, thousands and thousands of years ago. And they're just like dumbfounded, like, wow, like we barely can do this, right? How did they know? So yeah, everything in life is a mystery. Don't ever think, and that's the thing too, like me making this video now, excuse me, like I still have an open mind, right? I still have an open mind, and I don't think that just because like this is what I found that's it. I think more like, okay, there's probably a lot of asteroids that really matter. There's probably a certain way to use them. And then the same for fixed stars, but fixed stars are just more, they have that potent force that we see and that we can show through historic figures. Like, oh, like I think I was like, someone popped up the chart of, like, I don't know, I think I saw it somewhere, like the chart of Hitler. I think I was reading a book. I'm pretty sure he has Spica rising, doesn't he? Am I tripping? Let's see. And then we'll end the video. He has, or wait, yeah. So yeah, ascendant, I mean, his birth time, they have 6:30, so you're not sure when you have like a time like that if that's the exact time. And yeah, it's like right around that Spica. I bet you he was born at like 6. Because like he has Uranus at 19. My guess is that his ascendant was more like 24, 23, on Spica, and then he had Uranus rising close to his ascendant, which then would move Saturn closer to his midheaven, I think, or no further. Yeah. Either way, actually no, it wouldn't affect it. What am I talking about? Yeah. So either way, I'll leave it there. Hopefully my editor can figure this video issue out. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know in the comments. I know this video is all over the place, but yeah. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Ciao.